The Boston Red Sox have a golden opportunity at their hands. With the offseason in full effect, there are ample amount of starting pitchers on the trade market, and it seems like the Boston Red Sox are going all in, looking to acquire a number 2 guy to pair next to their ace, Garrett Crochet. I'm here to break down the conversation surrounding Freddy Peralta, the all-star pitcher of the Milwaukee Brewers, and how he could be one of the newest faces in the Boston Red Sox starting rotation come next season. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Red Sox Digest, but first, before we get to the news and information, please do remember, scroll down, click that subscribe button, as nearly 70% of you guys watching this video are not currently subscribed. We do appreciate it, so thank you guys. But now let's get to it and break down these big game hunting going on in Boston. So the conversation surrounding Breslow has always been the actions speak a lot louder than words. And there are a lot of words that we always hear, especially during these off seasons where all of Red Sox Nation is extremely optimistic and fired up, frankly, to say the least. Because Boston has a good young core, without a doubt, one of the best in the entirety of the MLB. And they just need a little bit of help. And last offseason, the big conversation of needing another power bat, needing more pitching. And they went out there and they got a few complimentary guys in both areas, but they never really got a guy that's going to push the needle entirely. And no, I'm not discussing Garrett Crochet. He was acquired before this conversation was really taking place in full effect. After acquiring Crochet, there was conversations of needing another guy in that starting rotation, and it never really happened. Then we got to the deadline of this past season. Joe Ryan was a Boston Red Sox for 3 minutes, and then the conversations of Zach Gallen, Miro Kelly, Mitch Keller, Sandy Alcantara. The list goes on and on of just notable names the Red Sox were allegedly involved in, at least the talks for trying to acquire these big name guys, and nothing ever materialized at the deadline. But now that we are in the offseason, it seems like the Boston Red Sox are in prime position not only to possibly acquire Joe Ryan, like discussed on the last episode of Red Sox Digest, but possibly Freddy Peralta, which, mind you, it would require a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers. But if you then do acquire Freddy Peralta, the contract situation is in a pretty good spot, as he's only on an $8 million price tag for the up-and-coming season before becoming an unrestricted free agent, and we'll get to the market value and what that extension would have to look like if it actually took place. So we're going to cite this tweet from MLB Network, citing John Morrissey, as he was on there discussing, once again, starting pitching and really what will happen with Freddy Peralta. Is he going to be available? The answer was yes. Or is the Milwaukee Brewers actually going to look around and answer these calls and take some of these ideas and possibly trade him? The answer is yes. Who is going to be at the forefront of these conversations? And it's a lot of the common suspects, if you will. The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox were involved in this, and actually John Morrissey would then mention that and then immediately double down. So we got this tweet, Freddy Peralta to Boston, because John Morrissey throws it out there, and then he doubles down and subtweets it from his own account saying, "What I'm hearing on Freddy Peralta's trade market." So it seems like Boston is at the forefront of Freddy Peralta's trade market and is very interested in possibly acquiring him. We do know a few weeks ago, or roughly a week ago, that we got this from Sleeper MLB. The Brewers are expected to field offers for Freddy Peralta and then it goes on to say Milwaukee has an $8 million club option for 2026, but Peralta will be a free agent end of next season, like we discussed briefly earlier. So again, going into the final year of his deal, just an $8 million club option, a very, very, very cheap price tag for someone in Freddy Peralta that was an all-star last year and really and truly could be the number 2 on any championship level team across the board in the MLB. So if the Red Sox do go out there and acquire Freddy Peralta, they would have to make a trade. But once they did acquire him, if they wanted him for more than just a year's rental at $8 million, which is, again, great, they would have to then extend him. We saw them do this with Garrett Crochet, and they got ahead of it. He went out there and produced, and now they look like geniuses because they got Crochet for a much cheaper penny than what they would have to pay if they didn't go out there and pay him immediately. So, based off of Spotrac's market value calculator, it seems like 5 years, $152 million for a $30.4 million AAV is along the lines of what Freddy Peralta is in the market to then acquire once he becomes an unrestricted free agent. But if Boston were to trade for him and then immediately sign him, and in the sense of an extension, it seems like there could be some leeway where they could go out there and acquire him and re-sign him for a cheaper price, something along the lines of what they got Garrett Crochet for. No, I'm not saying they'll give him 7 years, $170 million, but I'm saying they could get him for just a tick below what this market value may be. And you see the comparisons in the comparable players: Burns, Crochet, Fried, and Wheeler, the top of the crop when it comes to starting pitching across the board in the MLB. And if Freddy Peralta can get anything relatively close to some of these numbers, 6 years, 100 or 210 million, 6 years, 170. What Fried got 8, 218, and then you had Wheeler at 3 years, 126. I don't believe the Boston Red Sox would go out there and give Freddy Peralta anywhere from 6 to 8 years, but anywhere in that 3 to 5 year mark, I could see how Freddy Peralta could acquire that at just 29 years of age and being as dominant as he has been, especially in this last season. Look for Boston to be at the forefront of the trade market for Freddy Peralta, as well as others like Joe Ryan, like we discussed in the last video of Red Sox Digest. And to really wrap up this video and conclude on this point, it's something I meant to bring into the Joe Ryan video, but I had to absolutely bring it here. Christopher Smith goes on the site Craig Breslow and quotes we got just yesterday, saying, Red Sox Craig Breslow, quote, I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time trying to add a number 4 or number 5 starter. If we're going to make a starting pitching addition, I think it should be somebody who can pitch at the front of a rotation, start a playoff game for us. And that's the end of the quote from Craig Breslow. And this is exactly what we wanted to hear. Big game hunting in Boston. Don't go out there and give me a Merrill Kelly, a Mitch Keller. Go out there and acquire a Freddy Peralta, an all-star level pitcher, a Joe Ryan, possibly even a Tarek Skubal if you really want to be crazy. And that's not the end of the list. There's a lot of other credible starting pitcher names like Valdez and others that could be a part of this Red Sox team that could greatly improve that starting rotation. But at the forefront, by far and away, is Freddy Peralta, followed up by Joe Ryan. And it seems like the Boston Red Sox are very much into this idea surrounding both of these quality starting pitchers. Who would you rather see at the forefront of this Boston Red Sox starting rotation? Would you rather see Freddy Peralta, or would you rather see someone like Joe Ryan? Let me know down below your overall thoughts and opinions, as well as the comments from Craig Breslow. Are you confident in Breslow despite the comments he has made, or do you think you have to see the actions actually produced first before you give him any level of just confidence or respect in the words that he's saying? I still need to see the moves made. I am itching to see the Red Sox make the first big move of the offseason. I think it's a necessity at this point. Go out there and acquire a starting pitcher. Really set the tone for this offseason, not only for the league, but for your organization specifically. And in doing so, go out and acquire one of these starting pitchers, whether it's Peralta, Joe Ryan, Tarek Skubal, or any of the other options, Hunter Green. There are a list of very, very good starting pitchers on the trade market, and it seems like based off all the reports we've covered over the last week and some change, the Red Sox and Breslow are very much into the idea of making a big trade and not going out there and getting a complimentary guy that would be a 4th or 5th guy in the starting rotation that you could just get via the free agency period, rather than giving up goods in order to get a legit, solidified, dominant guy to be in that starting rotation next to the ace in Garrett Crochet. Overall, I think I'm leaning more towards Freddy Peralta, in all honesty. I was a big Joe Ryan guy at the deadline. It didn't seem like there was any chance outside for really any other big names because of the asking prices surrounding Sandy Alcantara and other guys that would just be complimentary pieces in Mitch Keller and Zach Gallen. But Freddy Peralta is very, very intriguing in my opinion. Let me know down below your overall thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Red Sox Digest.